Lauren.
And I'm Devynn.
And we are jumping in the pool with all the other people, it seems, and doing a podcast. We're going to do yarn and fiber and a little bit of sewing maybe on your part and cross stitch on my part. So this will be partially a floss tube. We'll try and be good about putting notes. But we're doing virtual stitch nights where we would just hold up our stuff and be like, look what I did. And I said that that's what floss tube is. And you said, what's floss tube?
Right.
And I said, like your knitting podcast. And she's like, we should do a podcast.
All the time.
Yeah, we watch a ton of podcasts.
So now we're joining the ranks.
Yes, which is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So we have projects to show you and finishes and a bunch of stuff we've been up to. And
lots of stuff.
It's going to be great. So
how about we start with who we are?
Oh yeah, that's important. Who we are. You want to go first?
Yeah, so my name's Devynn. I'm 30 years old and we live in rural Appalachia.
Yep, in Western Maryland.
Western Maryland. I am a knitter, but I am also prone to starting literally any craft ever.
Yeah, everything.
So I will mostly be talking about knitting, but I also crochet and I sew a little. I have fiber to start spinning with, sort of, but that's way down the road. And I've been knitting for 8 years. I started when I was working at a coffee shop and made some real crappy startup projects, and now I'm doing pretty well. I like what I make now and have some pretty awesome finishes.
Yeah. She makes beautiful things, so she'll get to show some of them to you later.
I have lots to show.
Quarantine has made her a bit of a mad knitter, and she's finished a lot.
Never not knitting. That's my life.
Yeah. My name's Lauren. I'm 31. I also live in this kind of small town in Maryland, and I am a crocheter. I've been crocheting about 6 years. I tried to figure this out the other day. I had a very brief position with the Salvation Army that, if anybody's interested, we can go into, but it was very short and I had a lot of time on my hands there. So I hung out with some older ladies that came in for some of the programs, and they taught me to crochet. They're basic. And then I continued once I left there and learned mostly from, you learn from books. We learned a lot from Pinterest early on. You just find things that look cool with dubious instructions and or origins, and it's never.
It was before we found Ravelry and actually found well-tested patterns. We were making free ones that weren't vetted really, so they would often have questionable steps and weren't beginner friendly at all, or
you just dive into something,
or they missing parts. I remember you crocheted something and you were so frustrated with this pattern, and
it was full on. The count was wrong.
Yes,
fully wrong.
And I've had some knitting patterns that I found, on just some weird websites.
Yeah, you end up on some weird Japanese websites, and you get what you get.
You get what you get. But
I think also you don't realize you're in that because you're so new. All mistakes are your mistakes. You don't recognize that it's the pattern that's the problem. Right. So, you just kind of fallen through that for a while. And
I think social media saved me in my knitting because I struggled through all of those beginning with those crappy eras, and it's not offensive to anyone in particular, but they're poorly tested designs. They're
little things that are, they could be from a Russian website, but they've been snagged, and then they're on Pinterest, Pinterest has that problem. But then I also started cross-stitching about 3 years ago. My sister bought a bunch of kits, and they didn't do anything with them. My sister was my roommate, and that is a theme with me. You'll notice that come up a couple times. And I was bored, and I picked one up, and I finished it. And then I said, what else you got? And so I got really into cross stitch, and then I started working really heavily with our library and got kind of a second job in a way, and just kind of put everything aside at that point. I was so busy. Every weekend was taken up with stuff. So almost everything went to the wayside, and then quarantine came, and I was doing my, for me, apparently, anxiety manifests in the need to organize, and then take it all out again and reorganize it, and then make a database of that organization, which I'm working on right now. And I found all my cross stitch and was super excited, got it all out, and I got the bug, guys. It's bad. It's bad.
And while you've been organizing through the quarantine, I've just been making.
Yeah, her finishes are insane. I've also been really working on making, but I don't know how many times I have organized like this craft cabinet in my living room. Like, I've organized it multiple times. But
one day everything will
have a place. So yeah, that's how we kind of got started. I was watching the Globe Trotting Stitcher, who just did her first floss tube cross stitch centric podcast, and she did this great thing where she had all these great questions at the beginning. So we're going to try and do some questions, kind of tell you a little bit more about ourselves and our style of stitching and crafting. And I will link her in below as well. But she's pretty awesome, and she's much more polished. Like, she's been cross stitching for years, and she's great, and she's very knowledgeable, and I'm really looking forward to her next video. But we're gonna wing it because that's who we are.
We are winging it, but we're here.
And we're trying, and it's gonna be super fun.
And we're excited about our stuff, and we hope you are too.
Yeah. We hope that, like, the best thing I've found about these kind of podcasts are they're like a mini extension of social media in a weird way, where you get to like interact with more people, show off what you've been working on, see what they've been working on, and you feel very involved in their hobby. Yeah, you feel very connected. You feel like, oh my gosh, she just finished, this huge thing she's been working on for 3 years. That's so amazing. It feels like your friend finished something. Right. And that is like the coolest thing about it. And that's what that's why we want to be part of that community. Right. We're extending out a little more to be part of that community, which I think will be super fun. Okay, so questions. So the first question is, and these are in no order because I can't remember them in any order. First question is, are you a progress or a process crafter, stitcher?
I am a progress crafter. I like the finished object. Did I answer that right?
Yeah.
I like the finished object. So I knit for the sake of having beautiful shawls to wear, or hats or mittens eventually, But yeah. I like the finishes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I understand how the process can be like all you're about. Like, who cares what I get in the end of it, as long as I'm constantly stitching. I do get that. I was working on my crochet the other night, and my sister was like, "You look very relaxed." I was like, "I am very relaxed. This is what a relaxed person looks like.
So comfortable.
Try it." But it is. But I am always like, the thing that motivates me is seeing that growth of the project, getting to the end, knowing I'm going to have a finish at the end. It's definitely the motivator.
Yeah, I'm working on my wardrobe.
Yeah, you're working on your wardrobe, so I mean. Yeah. Okay, second question is, are you a hoarder or a buy as you go?
I'm a hoarder, guys. I have a stash. Now, Lauren and I talked about my stash. It's not quite so big that it will outlive me, but I'm afraid that we could get there. Because
she's not going to pass it on to her, her family when she's gone, but...
Well,
Could you knit with it all this year?
I could not knit it all this year. I know I could not knit it all this year.
We are almost halfway through the year. Good God, y'all.
well, in a perfect world, 365 days, no, I could not finish everything on my yarn rack right now, given 365 days. If I could quit my job in it.
Yeah, really, if we just do nothing but.
Maybe. But what do you got next?
I am a buy as you go. I don't really have a stash. I have a little bit of yarn. I have a little bit of cross stitch stuff stashed. Patterns. I'll keep patterns. But even then, not too many. I tend to this is the project. Get the stuff for it. Put all that stuff in a little bag, and that's my bag. Except for the mountains of Super Saver that I have in my basement right now, because we live in a yarn desert, and so
that is a great way of describing it.
Yeah, it's just there's not you have to travel to get good quality yarn, and so when people learn you do any kind of yarn craft, they start sending you Super Saver because it's what Walmart has, so it's what they have.
And I've inherited 2 people's yarns. And it's all Super Saver.
With some bizarre color choices.
With some weird things. It's a project I'll talk about later. Maybe on our next episode.
Yeah, maybe next time, yeah.
But yeah, everybody's like, oh, you do this? Let me give you my weird stuff. Let me give you my great aunt's blah, blah, blah.
Or get it from yard sales, which is my case. My one aunt scours yard sales. And I just get old Super Saver.
Right.
So that's special, but I'm not counting that. That's in my basement to be dealt with. Okay, so next question. My next question.
Yeah, I think if we counted that for me, though, I think it would outlive me.
It's already been passed down from one person. It would be passed down again. Yeah. And then if you count all the yarn in your grandma's hoard,
oh, that's
scary.
A beast.
Scary, y'all. So next question: are you a monogamous stitcher? I was about to say, are you a monogamous or a polygamous stitcher?
Well, I like to have many things going at once. I like to have something that is in knitting. It's called potato chip knitting or Netflix knitting. I like something that's just easy, stockinette all the way for easy days. But I also like a challenge. So I also keep a variety of projects on hand that are requiring a lot more brain power and focus. Shut up, don't talk to me kind of knitting.
Jason, go away.
Jason, my boyfriend, go away. So I definitely have both going.
I am a monogamous stitcher, but I am I'm trying the rotation thing. So
the dark side.
I have a crochet project and a cross stitch project going currently, and I'm gonna work really hard to keep that rotation going. The crochet project we'll get to in a second is an ongoing project anyway, so it cannot be worked on consistently. So that helps because I have to have something to do, especially in the evenings. I have to have something to do. So that gives us a next question. When is your favorite time to stitch?
Oh, well, I live my life according to never not knitting, so all the time. I knit in the car, I knit in the morning, I knit in the evening. I haven't yet knit in a movie theater, but I think I can now. I think thanks to quarantine, I've gotten really good at knitting to the point where I don't need to look at it. That I could knit in a theater at this point. But I take my knitting to appointments. If I'm in a waiting room or something. You're a travel knitter, 100%. I take it to my grandma's when I'm visiting her. I take it everywhere. I took knitting camping. Everywhere. It goes with me.
I do not take my stuff everywhere. Mostly because so you have somebody that drives you, so you knit in the car. I just don't have that kind of.
Right.
But I tend to, in the evenings after work, sit down, and that is my decompress, work on something, see progress, which we don't always get at work. Like, we don't always get the feeling that we're like working towards a goal and getting something done. So you're just grinding. And so this feeling of like, ooh, look at the rows. Ooh, they're just, ooh,
something
that feels good. And my sister is my roommate, and she takes the TV in the evenings, even though she has the TV all day, it feels like. But no, she takes the TV in the evening. So I put my headphones in, listen to podcasts, and just make progress, and it feels so good. So I'm, and we'll put this at the end though, but my Instagram is Lauren Up Stitching, because I stitch all night. Because I'm just like, I'm a night owl. Even when I'm exhausted at the end of the day, by the time I like get into stitching, I'm like, 3 a.m. isn't late. We can just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, it's my time. Okay, so next question is, that doesn't make. I was gonna say. So one of the questions the Globe Trotting Stitcher asked is, "Are you a thread licker?" Which is a cross stitch thing. Which is, do you put your thread in your mouth to thread your needle? And I love that. And I am more than a thread licker. I lick my thread, and then like when I pull my thread out, it gets twists, and I lick my fingers and untwist it so that it stays, so I don't get any thread imps. And so I lick my stuff is covered in spit. But that's not necessarily relevant.
Well, with knitting it's not, but with sewing it can be, because
Yeah.
I do hand sew, and I like my thread,
You gotta
and I
lick
put
the
it
thread.
when I put it through the little eye.
Yeah.
I'm a licker.
What's another one? Help me out here.
Did I write any down? That would be useful. Oh, are you a selfish knitter or a gifter?
Oh yeah.
Or a stitcher?
Yeah. I am I'm a gift stitcher. Even when I'm like stitching something for that's kind of for me, it's usually for my house. It's like a communal thing for me and my sister. So it's not even like, oh, this is Lauren's thing. Like, this is Lauren's, thing for her, her collection or her space. No, it's always away from me, which you'll notice when I go to do finishes, I don't have many because I gave them all away. I knit, I knit, you got me saying knit. I stitch a lot of, I don't wear knits, so I don't stitch knitwear. So I make blankets, I make a few hats, I make things for around the house, and that all goes away. So I have a few things we'll go over later, but yeah, I'm away.
I started out as a gifter. I don't have any of my early knitting projects. They were all given away. I remember I used to make all of my Christmas gifts for my big family.
Your family.
Insane. And I have now joined the forces of the selfish knitters, and I am loving it. I'm making so many things that I can wear. Hopefully getting more involved in like shirts and tops. But for now it's mostly just shawls and hats and cowls and that sort of thing. But it's all for me, and I'm loving it.
Awesome. Sorry, my dog just walked by too. That's what that noise was, that clicking noise. And I had to pay attention to her briefly. Oh, that's a face. So yeah, there will be visitors maybe throughout this podcast. I have a dog and 2 cats that are wandering around and making noise, so we're just going to deal with that. And as anybody will tell you, the dog hair becomes part of the it's part of the fabric at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your stuff has been really beautiful, and I can tell your motivation is like increased tenfold since you started doing stuff for yourself. So that is really cool.
Yes, it's very motivating to make things for me.
Okay, well that's a pretty good idea, I think,
Yeah.
of who we are and how we like to stitch and what we like to do.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's do a whip parade.
Whips.
We need to do some whips because that's what everybody's here for anyway.
For anyone who doesn't know, whips is work in progress.
And we have a few. I don't have that many. You don't have that many whips
I
right
only
now.
have 3 whips that I brought with
3
me.
active whips. Oh, that is a question though. Are you a person with a ton of FFOs, fully finished objects, or UFOs, unfinished objects like abandoned, gone in the trash objects?
I think that I'm mostly of the FFO.
Me too. We're doing good.
I have like 2 projects that I can think of that qualify as UFOs. So
Yeah. Not bad.
not bad.
Yeah. Now, how many actual whips do you have?
Actual whips. So I brought
active.
3 with me. So I brought 3 with me. I have 1, 2, 3 at the house that I left.
So you have 6 total.
7.
7 total.
Yeah.
That's not bad, guys. That's not bad. So
And
I would still classify you as polygamous in your
Yes.
stitching.
Yes.
You're not promiscuous. You're just polygamous.
I'm not promiscuous yet.
The now do you use a rotation to like kind of get things done?
Yeah, I like to have the easy thing and the more complicated thing. So when I rotate, what I do is I kind of just ask myself like, I ask what kind of situation am I knitting in?
Yeah.
So if I'm knitting in the car, it's got to be easy because I can't do the hard knitting in the car. I would get car sick. But if I'm feeling up to it, I pick up my more complex knitting. Just depends.
Nude.
I actually found that I prefer complicated when I'm stressed. That's something that I
Oh well,
like
yeah,
about
because
myself.
now the world falls away. You focus in.
Yes.
Just like I can see that. I use our virtual stitch nights to weave in ends. that's what I do.
my gosh.
When you like literally are chatting too much to get anything done, you need something like that.
I have enjoyed using podcast time or stitch nights to weave in ends because I feel like I'm participating in the conversation, but I'm getting something
You're
done.
getting something done.
And
Something
I'm
you
not
hate
making
doing.
mistakes. That's the best part
Yeah.
is with weaving in ends. There's not a lot of mistakes you make. And I just had a project that was the mother of all weaving in ends. And
So bad.
it sat finished for probably a week and a half to 2 weeks before I even
You're
wove
just
in
like,
the
I
ends.
can't.
I'm just like, all right, it's off the needles. Let's start something new because those ends are hellacious.
Yeah. All right, whips.
Whips. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I have 1 crochet whip. So we're gonna kind of break up the crochet and cross stitch. So we'll put timestamps or something so that if you're not super into cross stitch, you can just kind of breeze past it. So this is my crochet whip. It is, and as I said, this is an ongoing project because this is a temperature blanket. So if you don't know what a temperature blanket is, you take that day's temperature and it tells you what color. And most people do a cool to warm gradient. I don't know if most people, that's what I see a lot. And I didn't. I just picked colors that coordinated and let the randomness kind of make the day.
Let the yarn speak.
I like the yarn speak, which sometimes works out and sometimes really doesn't. It is it is a monster. It is a monster. I am partway through April.
But it's so pretty.
It is pretty. It's very pretty. But let's see here. Hold, and we're gonna try and keep going and go. Like this is partway through April. It is already that long. It is massive, and it is. You want to take it open?
Is this the front?
Yeah.
Nope, we have the front towards
we have the
us.
front towards us. There we go.
There we go.
And it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It is. I mean, this is a lovely.
This is the blanket pattern is by Not Your Average Crochet. It was her As We Go Stripey blanket, which is free on her blog. But it's really cool because it has lots of different stitches.
Lots
so it
of
is like
texture.
a sampler of many different. There's some bobbles and some granny stitches and some mountains, and it just And I chose this because I didn't want to be bored every day. I didn't want to do rows of single crochet every day. I also knew me and knew I would get behind, so I knew I'd be doing catch up of many rows at a time.
This comfortably covers both of us.
Yeah, this is super comfy.
I mean, it comfortably goes across both of us.
Yeah, that's good. It's going to be massive. But the other thing is, I knew it was going to be long. I knew it was going to be 365 stitches high. So I didn't want it to be really narrow. So I had to make it big.
Yeah. It is just gorgeous. I mean.
Yeah. The yarn is, I didn't do any fancy yarn because I knew I was going to need bulk quantities of yarn for this. So it is Cascade 220 Sport. And it's a good little workhorse. It feels good to stitch. It's not scratchy or uncomfortable.
No, it's
it doesn't
very
split.
soft.
It doesn't split or it's just gonna hold up as a blanket. And
very cozy.
Are you very? It's nice in here now, like with the air conditioning running. Yeah. But it is gonna turn out really beautiful. I'm gonna love having it. I'm a little behind now due to the crisis that we're all dealing with, because I ran out of a single color of yarn and was kind of like stalled until it could get to me, and then I had other projects because we get that way, so now I'm trying to play catch up. I'm halfway through April, so I've got May and April to catch up with. So I do I have to do 10 rows of the blanket, and then I can take a break for 5 days and do something else, and then I have to go back and do 10 rows of the blanket to get caught up.
It's nice to have those kind of like limits for yourself.
Yeah.
Also,
it keeps me sane, but it also keeps me making progress.
She is a genius for weaving in her ends as she goes, because this would be a monster of ends to weave in at the end.
The other thing is, this is stored in my, we went to the Frederick Fiber Festival, and this awesome bag was a giveaway there with lots of pockets. It's got my little calendar that I keep track of all the days in it, but it is slowly outgrowing this, so it might be moving to a duffel bag. All right. So that's all my knit / yarn whips.
That was crochet.
Crochet, but I mean all my yarn-based whips right now.
All right.
Because it's a beast.
So, I have one crochet whip. This is the, I gotta look at it. It's on page 1. This is the Daisy Travel Blanket Square by Color and Cream. It's a free pattern. It's not a PDF on Ravelry. There's a link that'll take you out to the website where you can get it. And there's like picture tutorials, so super easy. I'm just making these tiny little squares out of scrap yarn left over from another project. And this will eventually be put together with I think we talked about a copper, maybe a copper little like rod or something, and become a wall hanging.
Which I love that idea.
It's fingering weight yarn. I'm not making a blanket out of fingering weight yarn. Not yet, at least.
Oh, come on.
It would take
take
9
on
million
a colossal
squares.
project like Lauren does.
So this is my only purple one. So I have all the pinks done. This is there's 5. I'm missing one somewhere. But what I'm gonna do is kind of put them together like this. So the points are pointed up, and then I might chain across to connect them and have that through the rod. I might just do loops. I don't know. I haven't really decided, but it's just gonna be like a little wall hanging, sort of springy.
Yeah, I love those neons.
It's a lot of fun.
I like the idea of the copper rod because that's a little more industrial, a little more.
Yeah, a lot of people do the driftwood, and I don't know.
We're not beachy.
I don't know if I'm rustic enough for driftwood, but
you're industrial enough.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So
that's
also, my crochet.
I like when people mix like a soft feminine craft like crochet or knit with something that's like, plumbing wear. Like I love that like contrast.
Sort of like,
feels good.
Yeah, it's got a good combination. And the yarn, I didn't talk about the yarn in it. The yarn is, it's in another pattern that I'm going to show, but those solid neons are all from Midknit Cravings, and the white speckled is the Lemonade Shop, and they both have websites and Instagram accounts, and we'll link them.
I'll put them
in the below box.
In the doobly-doo.
In the box. So that's my crochet.
The light is like changing weirdly. So if we're in and out of light, that's fine. That's what it is. Is that all your whips?
That's all my crochet.
Okay. I don't have knit whips because I don't knit, so I'm just going to hand it over.
Okay.
We'll just keep all the yarn together.
Okay. Well, I only have 2 whips that I brought with me. So this first one, I'm going to scoot up here, it's called the Lovey Dovey Tam, and I can show you this picture.
I love this thing.
This is a really cool kit, and it came with the yarn and everything that I bought while I was on vacation in Maine, in Acadia National Park. And I forget what store I bought it from, so I'm really sorry about that. But the designer is on, and her name's on this, Donna Frost Ritchie. She is on Ravelry, and she does sell her kits. If you look her up, you can get to her website, and she sells her kits, and so you could have this hat. So I'm not very far. I've got like bird feet, but the best thing you can see is like the little hearts. I do have the hearts finished. I'm dropping stitches. I have little hearts, and I have this ribbing, and the ribbing is really cool. Like, I love how she has you do the color changing, because it kind of looks like a fade effect as it goes from this like
totally
bright hot pink to the dark.
I didn't think it was a fade.
And she's got cute little hearts. So
yeah, that's gonna be really nice.
I'm almost,
and of course it's hot pink.
Yeah, and I'm done with this dark red in the birds, so the birds will go into the next shade of pink, which I think might be this reddish raspberry color. So yeah, so I have the little feet of the bird done. So that's this project, and it is living in a project bag that I got from Direful Yarns. It's from her advent calendar that she did last year. So her Christmas advent, she had these adorable Little Red Riding Hood illustrations, just framed them, and the inside fabric's this little zebra-iness. And yeah, so the hat just stays in here, keeps everything organized. And
I love project bags. I want every bag to have its own little notion bag with it, so that, and everyone to have their own scissors and their own like everything. So when I just take it, I've got everything I need. I don't have to like, replace or search or find. So what else you got?
So I have one more.
Ooh, this is the big one.
This is the big one. So it's living in my project bag by the Fat Squirrel Speaks, and she just made these bags. I don't think she has any more available. But this is like the National Park Art Deco sort of signs.
Yeah, I love those posters.
Adorable. I love the bag. I got the large size of hers, and it does fit a sweater, even for a big lady. So
I love this because I love typography, and I just love looking at all these beautiful things. This is a gorgeous bag.
It is really nice, and it's definitely very well made. So my next project, this is my first sweater. Very excited. And I have, there's the collar, I'll lift it up, and I have quite a bit of the body knit. I think I'm at 12 inches and I need to get to 15.
Almost there.
I'm so close. And then I have to do 1.5 inches of ribbing. So but the pattern is the Flax pattern. It's by Tin Can Knits. This is a free pattern, and it has lots of tutorials for anyone who doesn't know. Lots of tips of how to do stuff. A great beginner pattern. And it has this little it's a raglan style sweater, and it just has this little detail that goes all the way down the sleeve.
Yeah.
And I am knitting this in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter yarn. Shelter is the base, and then the color is Foothills, which is this lovely light green.
Yeah, this is like a beautiful mossy
Not
color.
sure if the color is exactly coming out on camera, but it's greener than it looks because it kind of comes off as gray. And I mean, this color does not show up in pretty much anybody's pictures well on Ravelry.
Well, and apparently we've completely lost daylight here, so we're using like my indoor lights, which are not the best, but
Yeah.
they are. Looks like it's gonna rain.
Yeah.
There are. I was just picking out little bits of leaf from these.
Yeah, so this is a woolen spun yarn.
Did you take this camping though?
I did take it camping, but the yarn itself is spun in, and like you can like even pull out of the middle of the ball.
Oh yeah.
And there
there's
will
little
be
bits of like.
there's been like a few little bits of like straw or twig bits, so I have had to pull out some of those as I go.
Why did you unstate that?
That's fine. It'll get knit very quickly. So this is I didn't say this, it's worsted weight yarn, and it's been a very easy knit. It was difficult at first because knitting and math and me. I did do a gauge swatch though. That was my first gauge swatch ever that I really did. I sort of did one for a shawl, but I kind of just knit a little bit and then said, oh, I like the fabric, and kept going. This I actually like measured to make sure, I wanted it to fit my big body, so I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait to finish it.
So is this like an obsessive knit right now?
It was. I can tell you it has not been in the most recent.
Oh,
I've been crocheting. I've been working on the crochet thing for a bit because I knit solid on this from May 17th until we went camping Memorial Weekend. And then when we came back from camping, I was like, I need something else. So that's when I started
Well, you're
the
down
crochet.
to the point where you're just in the round doing the same stitch over and over again.
Yes.
Once you get past the fun stuff of learning how to sleeve and all that, then you're just...
Yeah, so, it'll get going. It's definitely not, like, tabled or anything.
Right. It's still active.
So
You gotta do like me and do a couple rows, and then you're like,
Yes.
now I'm allowed to do something else.
Well, and I've been doing about, like, it's kind of pathetic, like a row or two a day.
That's something.
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 So those are my whips. That's all of them.
Sweet. Let's talk. Let's stay in yarn, I think, and let's do finishes.
Okay, so I think yarn finishes is all me.
I have one.
You do have one. Okay.
I have one I can do.
You go
So
then.
when I crochet, I don't crochet
Wearables.
wearables. So I do homewares and stuff like that, blankets, pillows, things like that. And one of the things I love to do is doilies. And I when I found these and were like, oh my gosh, I love doing these. I was like,
Now what do I do with all these doilies?
what do I do with all these doilies? But also, that's a weird thing to really be into. And then I found basically crocheters of Instagram and, the kind of fiber community. I'm not the only one.
Lots of people like doilies.
Lots of people like lace and doilies and stuff like that. So this is a doily from some kind of Pinterest thing. I think it was in Russian. I think it just was a graphed crochet thing. And I just knew the graph symbols and was able to do it. So this is not, unfortunately, a recent finish. But as I said, all my finishes are gone. But these I put into embroidery hoops. So my grandmother was a huge embroiderer. And when she passed away many, many years ago, my aunt got her whole stash, which included like 30 of these. And some of them are odd shapes and colors and stuff. I've got a couple that are painted red, which I don't know what she was using them for. But I put them in there, stretch them out, and then hang my earrings on them, which, if you can't tell, I'm a huge dangly earring collector.
Part of our podcast will feature Lauren's earrings.
We'll feature my earrings. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. If I'd thought about it, I would have found where these came from and linked the...
Next time.
I think these are an Etsy store purchase. So I hang them in my bathroom. I have like a whole wall of these, like half wall, like by the door.
Yeah.
Of these, and all my earrings hang off them and look like jewels, and they're great. So I'll probably be doing another one of these soon for my cousin. So I will hopefully have some progress on something like this to show you guys. So that's my one little finish that I have right now. I finished recently a blanket for one of my aunts that was in a nursing home, and I finished a blanket for baby showers. And I finished baby hats. And I give away everything. But I have not been as prolific as I could have been recently. Like the last 6 months, probably I was not as prolific as I could have been. So I'll have to get back into it.
Yeah, for sure. So
okay, now onto the we pared down the mountain of finishes to quarantine finishes.
So she told me, bring everything you finished in 2020, and I did, and then I think it surprised her how much there really is.
She's been busting. Like,
yeah. So I'll start with my quarantine finishes, and then this is the oldest thing, so I'll show it last. So you can just sit there. So the first is, this is my most recent finish. I love this shawl. And so this is the On the Spice Market by Melanie Berg. And this I knit very quickly, just a couple weeks in May. It's in very unusual colors for the pattern. The pattern is traditionally knit in autumn tones, and I chose brights because that's me. I like brights, I like pinks. Pink is my color. The yarns are...
You're also doing an 80s theme.
Yes, I keep forgetting. I'm doing... This is part of the 80s Kids Make-Along that Chevy Rell is hosting along with Bente. Chevy Rell has a podcast, Chevy Rell Stuff, and Bente has a podcast, Arctic Crafts, and they're co-hosting the 80s Kids Mal, which is a hashtag on Instagram. They also, I believe Bente has a project or a Ravelry thread. I haven't uploaded this to Ravelry yet.
I just remember you texting me and you're like, neon is 80s, right? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. Look up athletic wear. And she was like, oh my gosh.
Well, I saw these, so I bought these. The neons are a mini kit from Midnight Cravings. And when I saw them, I'm like, I need those. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I need them. So I bought them. And then
saw the make-along.
And I'm like, 80s Kids, I've got the neons. So I was very excited to do that. And then I also got this, the background, the white color here is, it's white with neon speckles, and it's by the Lemonade Shop. And the color is called I Love Cake, because I thought that it would be perfect for On the Spice Market that was bright to have a cakey themed like color. I thought that was kind of like...
It's a spice cake.
It's a spice cake. A bright spice cake.
Bright, very bright.
And I don't remember all the colors of the little neons. But I don't think she has any more of the sets in the Midnight Craving shops, but they're gorgeous. And her yarn is worth it.
This is fingering weight?
They're both fingering weight yarns. The neons are superwash merino nylon. I don't know the ratio, but the white, the I Love Cake, is merino cashmere nylon. And so it kind of...
That's very nice.
I think that's what gives it, like, it's got a very good, like, drapey...
It's got great drape. It's got a good... It doesn't feel like it'd be too heavy, but it's got a good heft to it.
Yeah.
It feels...
And I think the minis are, sort of like the nylons are more like sock yarn. At least that's what I would probably use them more for, but the colors were just perfect for shawl knitting, so
yeah.
They just went right in.
Gorgeous for summer.
Yes. And it'll come in handy in, we do get cool evenings here.
Yeah, still.
So...
oh, trust me, I've been doing a temperature blanket where I keep being shocked to see 40 degrees.
Yes.
Like, the weather's been insane.
You know the temperature.
I know the temperature.
So the other finish I have is what I'm wearing, which is the Wildflowers and Honey Shawl. And this is by Licole. And I'm not sure if I'm saying her name 100% correct, but her pattern is the Wildflowers and Honey, and it's beautiful. And this section is brioche, and I started this shawl in January, and I knit on it from, you start at this end and you knit just this nice easy garter all the way down to where you get to this white line here right before the brioche. And I kind of knit to that point, and I'm like, all right, brioche is scary, and I put it away. So I then got it out kind of because of the quarantine, and I said, I'm gonna figure this out. And I did. I think I nailed it. I mean, it looks perfect. The leaves look awesome. There are mistakes in here, but who cares? Not unraveling mistakes, so that's what
then
counts.
they don't matter. Then they don't matter. Nobody's gonna pick it apart from across the room and go, I know she didn't do it right.
And one of the things I definitely learned to appreciate, I have used lifelines before in knitting, but I appreciated them so much in this. Just threading a little piece of thread through my knitting needle and weaving in that lifeline to save stitches if I got to a point where I dropped anything. I just felt so secure having that with brioche. And I didn't talk about the yarn in this. So the yarn is from Avalon Springs Farm, and the pink is called My Love Rose, and then the white is just called Natural White. And it is some of the softest yarn.
It is so fluffy.
It is perfect. It's so soft.
And it's light. It is a
Yes, this is definitely on the finer side of fingering. I'm not even sure if my shawl actually measures to what the dimensions of the shawl are supposed to be. I kind of think my shawl runs a little small because the yarn was so small. So it seemed very fine in comparison. Like, I mean, this is also fingering, and I can just look at these two and tell that this is thinner.
But it's perfect for
it is great.
Summer going into fall, spring. Like, it's a nice, actually almost year round. Might not make it through winter, but
it won't wait. I probably won't be something I wear in the winter, but I have already worn this out on a couple walks this year. We're sitting in your house right now, and I was wearing it comfortably. I started out wearing this one, and I got a little too warm. So this one definitely has a little bit more breathability. And the yarn is just scrumptious to touch. So talk about designer, talked about yarn. Just pet it. So I think I talked about everything with that one. Oh, and the other thing I want to talk about that one is I love, like, in the design, I think it's part of the design, in the shaping of the shawl, it fits my shoulders. Like, I don't struggle with it falling off. It has this nice curve.
Yeah, it's got some obvious, like, intentional.
Yeah, and it just, the way it swoops around my body, it feels perfect. It's very cozy. And I'm wearing a very slippery shirt, so it will slide a little on this shirt, just because this is like a, I don't know, weird
some
material.
kind of nylon.
Some kind of like nylon-y athletic sort of wear summery shirt. So then I have I have two more to talk about.
She's in a mad woman, I'm telling you.
So,
like, I've been underperforming, but she's been overperforming.
Yes, I've been knitting like crazy. Never not knitting, right? So, this big, long, gorgeous scarf, shawl.
It could pass as both.
It could pass as both. So, this is the Camp Wilkerson pattern by Caitlin Hunter. It is a DK weight pattern, and the yarn is Magpie Fibers, and it was a very fast project. This is my first DK weight shawl. I've always knit fingering weights, so
But this is gonna be lovely in like fall to winter.
Yes,
Like it's nice and cozy, super soft.
It's soft.
Good colors for that time of year too.
Yes, and it's got a nice shine.
Yeah, got a good drape. Like
I
this
like
is
this.
nice yarn.
Yes, Magpie Fibers is amazing yarn. And this is the merino. It's Swanky DK merino cashmere nylon. Very soft. Can't stop touching it right now. So the purple is Velvet Underground. This is called Say When. And the gray is Ash. And then this is Masquerade. And I have not had a chance to wear this because I started and finished this in April. And then it started getting warm here. So too warm for this to wear yet. I wore it one time in the house when it was a little chilly, but haven't worn it out yet. But it is lovely and I can't wait. And this one I have worn several times. And I have not worn this one yet. And so those three were my quarantine finishes. The sweater is a quarantine knit, but I haven't finished it yet. So then I have one more finish that this is the Find Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry. This shawl was my introduction to the finer things of knitting, to really branching out and trying more indie dyed yarn and
Designer product.
designer patterns.
Knitting for yourself.
Knitting for myself. So this was the shawl.
This is the big change.
This was the shawl that started it all. So it's I think it'll just be easier if I link all of the yarns in
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Because
there's a lot of different.
I didn't buy a kit. I didn't really use stash yarn. I bought specifically for the pattern, but I kind of collected slowly. So yeah, so those are my finishes.
Nice job.
Nice.
So obviously she is amazing and makes beautiful, amazing things. And so we'll hopefully get to see more of her beautiful, amazing things. We're gonna kind of transition here and go to cross stitch. So we're gonna be right back. So we're back and we've cleaned up all the knitting stuff and crochet stuff and dealt with a dog. So we're ready to go. All right, so cross stitch. So this is technically the start of our floss tube. And hopefully some of you are still around and still interested in that. We will put timestamps in the description as well. So I'm the big cross stitcher right now. You're getting started a little bit, maybe tackling another, like her 80th project craft that she adds to her ever-growing repertoire. Yeah.
Right word?
Yeah. Also, she's got a few little sewing things, so we're gonna kind of throw that in. My first whip, we'll do a bit of a whip parade, is in my super awesome, this bag just came. It is a super awesome project bag by the Joyful Stitching Store on Etsy. I definitely want to get some more project bags from different places and people. But I'm super happy with this. It holds everything. And it's got my this is a finish of mine from a couple years ago. This was actually, I think, the first thing I picked up of those kits of my sisters that I mentioned. This little frog was the first thing I finished. And I just recently had her sew it into a little bag for all my notions. Yes. So in this bag, I have my current big work in progress, which is this. This is Horrific Halloween by, I believe this is just a Stoney Tweed pattern. When I got, I picked up a magazine like in the grocery store, and it had, in the back of it, it had this pattern from the Stoney Creek's website, which was the first website that was like, oh, cross stitch is more than just kits you buy at Michael's.
Right.
So this was like, ooh, there's hand-dyed linen, and oh my gosh, what is all this? What are these specialty threads? So I got everything for this. Yeah.
Buttons.
Yeah. So I got everything for this, including, you can see right here, the O is going to be a handmade button by Stoney Creek, and it's got buttons. There's handmade buttons on every single panel. And this was their 2018 Halloween stitch along. And I got everything for it. I got all the patterns. I got all the buttons. I realized I missed one button pack. I'm going to have to go back and get it. And started on it, was really enjoying it, and then life happened and it got put in a drawer. Magic drawers of mystery. So I'm really hoping to get that finished. I really want it done. And I'm really enjoying stitching on it. It's very nice. And I got all the Specialty Weeks Dye Works threads. It's still up on their website, although as it was going along, you got each month's pattern for free, and they're no longer free. And they don't do PDF downloads either, which is a little annoying. So I have all the little cards, but that's all. I mean, look at that. That is going to be fun when it's done. So I'm going to have it hanging up. So I'm super happy with that. Go for it.
So I have the same start. This is my Languish cross stitch. So I'm not anywhere near as far as Lauren. And as you can see, mine has not lived very well in this drawstring bag from Frostburg, town near us. But I did enjoy this when I was doing it. What had happened was I snipped a thread and messed it up, and so
She got angry.
Got angry and just bagged it and left it, and now just talking to Lauren, I'm kind of like, yeah, I should get that back out. It does look awesome. I would love to finish it. Look, I even sewed on a button, a little spider. But yeah, it needs some TLC.
It needs some TLC, but maybe we'll get it out and get it going. That would be really great if we were both able to finish it. But you have to stop knitting for like a moment.
I have to find a time to put down the knitting.
Maybe if we get together more regularly, we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, second whip is I need more project bags, and I want each bag to have its own bag, and I want organization for life. So this one is in a mail bag that I cut the top off of because it was the right size. And it is before quarantine, so I didn't have to like sanitize the whole thing. And it has its own little notions bag, which this was a thing my sister got from Michael's. She was going to do like a bunch of embroidery, and that didn't happen. So I did a little cross-stitch rose on it. That was one of my little things I did during quarantine. And it looks great, and it's a little something to bling it up a bit. But this is a free pattern from Barbara Anna Designs. She's one of my favorite designers, and everybody's been doing it lately, so I kind of like saw it finished a couple times. I'm like, God damn it, I need that. And this is The Start of Light by Barbara Anna. It's free on her website, and this is just linen. It's 32 count linen from my drawer. It's not the best linen. It's got waves and little squiggles and it's a little bit of a mess, and I can't tell if it's from the drawer or if it wasn't great linen to begin with. I don't know where I got it from. Could not tell you. But it's going to be finished on it. It's going to be done. Although we did go to our local needlework shop, which is Four Seasons Stitchery in Grantsville. Mm-hmm. And I bought fabric, but now that I just put it away, and I'm like, shit, that would look great on that. This would look great on that fabric. So, but I'm going to finish it on this. It's going to be done. But I actually had to, because I didn't know what it was just in the drawer, I had to like pin it and count.
Yeah, I wanted to know how you figured out that it was 32. Or did you say 32 count?
It's 32 to 35. Like I said, there's a lot of waves and wiggles, but I'm going with 32.
So is that what I have to do to figure out what this is, or do we just look?
I think we could just look at the receipt.
I
still have the receipt. I think I still have the online order.
Yeah. So we can figure out.
I think it's 14 or 16 count Ada. Looks like 16 count. It's a little small.
I'm gonna have to like count all these stitches to see where I'm off at. I don't want to talk about it.
You might just want to frog it and go again.
How do you frog cross stitch? You just cut through all this?
Yeah, you just cut. Well, you cut one usually, and then just take your needle and zip it out.
Okay.
It's not that bad. It's not that terrible. But we might be able to salvage it. It'll be okay.
To start it over? Okay. Maybe.
But I realized, like, literally the moment that I started on this and got the little ruff of her coat done, of the fox's coat, I was like, why did you start this? You have Barbara Anna's Spellville stitch along that's going on right now. You have the pattern, you have everything for it. Why are we not working on that? So that pissed me off. But
multiple whips.
I know multiple whips, but just like of my priorities, I am so wrong in my priorities.
No, your priorities are whatever inspires you.
Yeah.
Look at your classy bag.
The last one was in another. Yeah. Mailbag. I gotta get more bags. I gotta get Sarah. My sister can kind of sew, and I'm gonna just make her learn to sew, like, professionally, so I can have bags. The last one is not necessarily a whip. It's a languish / going to be done. And it is another. I got it from Stoney Creek in 2018. And this is Tiny Modernist's Haunted House, and it was her Halloween stitch along.
That is really cute.
It is really
like that.
Cute. And so I got everything for it. We did the whole thing, and got pretty far. Let me show you guys how far I got on this sucker. I got. Oh, sorry. So you would get the pattern, and then you would get each of these rooms in the haunted house, like by month by month. And I got the first one, started stitching on it, got, I mean, look at that. That is pretty significant. Got the moon, got all the roofs, got walls in, got my, maybe not my first month, maybe my second month, when I was actually starting to look at like, oh, I'm going to put a room in, and realized all my walls are in the wrong places. Like significantly, significantly the tower side is way too narrow. And so I would have to edit almost every single room that went into this house. And I was a little like, There's also like some pretty, I don't care about the back of my work. I'm not one of those people. Although I am really trying to stitch a horrific Halloween neatly, because I'm thinking about entering it in our state fair or our county fair if we have one. And I know people look at the back of your work if you enter it in the fair. But like there's places where I actively put fabric glue. Like I glued stitches down. And that's just gross, weird feeling. So I might just restart it. Actually, I know I'm going to restart it. I'm restarting this. So this is going to be scrapped. It is going to remain somewhere as a reminder of my failures. But I'm going to scrap this. I've got new fabric. I'm going to restart it. And so that is my one of my upcoming plans, is to restart this. I love this fabric too. This is
very pretty fabric.
This is very pretty fabric. This is oh, I forgot to mention in the I'll go back to it in a second. This is 28 count Haunted by Picture This Plus, and it is very nice. I really enjoyed stitching on it. It's clean and easy to see and doesn't strain my eyes to death like the linen. The linen is killing me for light.
Is that even weave?
Yeah, this is even weave. So there aren't little pulled threads. Everything is like a nice even.
Okay.
You know, it makes a nice even X. Linen, you can get that. And especially linen made for cross stitch. I think this is just old crappy linen. But it's a nice count for my eyes. It's what I'm comfortable with. 28 count is like my safe space. So this will be really beautiful when it's redone. We're not going to talk about it anymore. Real quick while we're on this, I guess I'll talk plans a little bit. Actually, why don't you do finishes? Did you want to show your sewing?
Oh yes, I don't have much in sewing. I'm a very beginner sewist. Let's see. So I have these little drawstring bags. These are made from,
Which I want some of.
it's a lined drawstring bag. I specifically wanted lined. My stitching isn't great. This was my first one, so like where you start and when you come back around, I for some reason didn't do like here. I started here, and when I did this row I started like here, so there's two different start and stops, but the black is very forgiving, so it doesn't show that as much. The fabric is from just Walmart Fat Quarters. Again, beginner. I didn't want to get like fancy fabric that I'm just gonna let languish. And
I want these for yarn balls.
I use these for yarn balls. That is why I wanted them. I am working when I'm working on a bigger, like with the hat. I'm not using ball sacks for. Yep, ball sacks or yarn cozy. Well, yarn cozies are really like if they squeeze like around the ball and they don't have a bottom like the bags do. So
they don't have that sack
They don't
quality.
have that sack quality. So I wanted something that would hold a skeined up yarn ball, and so I did do boxed corners.
I can't do any of this.
And so
I also need many more zipper bags. I'll get you some more finishes. And
zippers are
zipper bags.
Bitch.
Yeah.
They're just, I am not very good at zippers yet. I actually took the leftover fabric from this and made a zipper pouch. And by leftover fabric, I had like this much. And so when you're doing a zipper, bigger might be better because the tiny guy was really hard to sew around and even to get like turned right side out. And I used several YouTube tutorials to learn how to do this, not a single one. I mean, Whitney Sews does stand out as a channel that I definitely watch a lot of her tutorials of how to do different things. And I think, so the first one I made of these, when you do boxed corners, this one has a little extra bulk in here because the first tutorial I watched didn't say anything about cutting off that extra fabric. And then later I learned that you can cut off that extra fabric. So I have it in a couple different colors. Here's my other one. My stitching got a little better where I started and stopped it all in the same spot. This one did get, I think you can see that it has a wrinkle in it that is, again, it's a little bit of learning, but it's also, what I did was, I picked this open before it was all the way, like where the thread comes through. And so because it was open before it was done, it kind of made a bubble. But
picking at stuff.
This one, I think, is the one.
You did perfect.
Yes, I think this is the one I did the best on. The only thing I got weird in this is I forgot to cut the selvage off, so the bottom does have that little bit of a selvage. I think it's right there. You can see it. Selvage edge. Like I just.
Oh
I didn't,
my gosh!
I didn't
so
cut
tiny.
that waist
It's
off,
so
so I just used it because.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Why not?
Personal use.
Well, and this selvage was pretty.
It's pretty minor. It's not that visible.
And it didn't seem like fragile. Like sometimes the selvage edge is a little fragile. You wouldn't want that in a project, but this is not. It's not frayed. It's not doing anything weird, and this has a
pretty paisley
fabric on the inside. And I'm working on finding out what works best for drawstring. This is just some pulls that I got from Joann's, and I hate them because they're super shiny and slippery. Like you can just feel.
Yeah, they're not gonna stay tied.
They don't stay tied. So I bought them because that was the only thing they had, but this one I used a ribbon on, and it has worked perfect. I haven't had any problems, and I actually have another sunflower bag, but it's in use in a whip that's at home. Because ball maintenance is important.
Ball maintenance is important, guys. Maintain your balls.
Exactly.
So I guess I'll show you one quick finish, and then we'll kind of talk plans for the future.
Yes.
So this was, let me go walk over here because he's out of the frame. This was like when I got back and started cleaning up stuff, I found this guy, and I had started him several years ago.
Woohoo! Look
And
at that.
I was like, it's time. He needs to be finished. Specifically because his colors are perfect for my summer wall. Like if you can see right here, I use turquoise and gold are like my summer colors.
Mm-hmm.
And he's turquoise and gold.
That looks perfect.
And so I dedicated like a month to doing nothing but him. And he's very pretty. He has beautiful beads.
I love the beads
on
here
his
at
little
the top.
plume. And so this is my first cross stitch finish in like 3 years. I was really pleased to get him done. Really gave me the bug back. And he needs
beautiful.
framed, but we're having struggles with the framing. He's 14 by 14, which is an odd size frame to find, just like find at your local Walmart or Michael's. So I'm probably gonna have to get him custom frame. Nah, the back is not bad. My backs are not terrible.
Do you want to show your back?
Nah,
Okay.
but they're not great. But I saw somebody post on the cross stitch Reddit the other day. They were just like, I didn't know that you didn't travel, and I didn't know that you divided your threads. I did full 6-strand, traveled all the way, and their back, it looked like modern art. It looked like something I wanted on my wall. Not like, I was like, what could the front possibly look like? The back is so insane and beautiful. But they were like, I mean, the back had to be ½ inch thick. It was so thick. So, but that was amazing.
Yeah, this is so pretty.
Thank you.
I
want him on my wall, but they won't let me.
We are gonna find a frame. We're gonna find a frame for this guy.
And this was a kit from AC Moore, Stitch Studio by Nicole. It's just called the Peacock. On 14 count Ada, just very simple. But it turned out really nice. The kit was actually really nice. Had good. The thread is obviously not DMC. It's like a knockoff, but it was strong. It wasn't I've had kits like that where the thread breaks a lot, and I didn't have that problem. So.
It just looks so good.
Yeah, this Peacock, all the blue drove me insane, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah, you need to talk about that.
Oh yeah,
I
I struggle with color because my dad is red green colorblind and my mom was some level of shade blind, and so I struggle with shades. She has to pick a lot of my colors for me. Or my sister picks colors, and I'm constantly getting my sister over and being like, okay, are these two purples the same purple? Like, I can't get it. So I cannot see the blue in things very well. Like, blue is a struggle for me. So purples look more red.
Just appreciate how many shades of blue.
How many shades of blue killed me. I kept very organized. I can't see, grays are a struggle. Like if you put a pearl gray next to a white, I'm really gonna struggle because I can't pick up the blue. But shopping online is like a nightmare because then even the colors I see are not the colors that are actually there. Like it's ridiculous. So that's why you have good friends to pick out your colors with you and coordinate your blankets, my beautiful blanket with me.
And do podcasts with you.
And do podcasts with me, which is super fun.
Yes, this has been fun.
Plans.
What's next?
What's next for you? I've been talking a while.
Okay, so I have something I can show.
Sure.
So we went to Joann's today.
Oh yeah, we went to our local needle workshop and we went to Joann's because I had to return a frame that didn't fit.
So I bought a few things today. Sorry for the crinkle. Okay, so I have some fabric that has lemons on it, and it's got little lemons and blueberries, and then this is a palish blue, like splotchy sort of.
Yeah, it's like marbly.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pair this with it and this. I'm hoping coordinates well with it, so that I'm going to make a bag of some kinds for knit projects, and
Lauren's notion bag.
maybe if there's enough left over.
I bought zippers.
I bought zippers last time we were out, or last time I was out before the quarantine, and I have zippers to go with this too, so I'm gonna make a bag. So more sewing. I bought, this is probably the project that I bought that I will work on the soonest. It's a super cute tote bag, all materials included, except for the thread you use to sew and the sewing machine. So I will be making this pretty soon, and it's just really cute little flamingos being flamingos.
And we all need more project bags. That's just the truth.
I also bought this one. I'm not sure when I'll get to this. It's definitely not a high priority, and it does need batting to go with it. So it'll be something that might languish a bit, but I wanted the lemon fabric because I like the kitschy stuff. So I just scooped it up, and I figure I'll get to this when I do. And then knit-wise, I have lots of projects that I am planning. I bought yarn for there's a Breathe and Hope shawl pattern by Casapinka, and the pattern release was to raise money for, or not raise money, but to support local yarn stores. So you bought the I can't speak, oh my gosh, you bought the yarn from your local yarn store, and
it would be all kitted up.
It would be just in support of them. I do still have to buy the pattern separately because I kind of missed the boat on it, but there for a while you could buy the yarn and you got the pattern code, because she was trying to release her pattern in coordination with local yarn stores. So I will be casting that on soon. I'm trying to finish either hat or sweater before I get
that'll
into
be your 3-piece rotation kind
yeah.
of going.
And then let me think. I have a sweater's quantity of more yarn, and I have more yarn coming in the mail, and I have more yarn that just arrived this week. So I have a problem.
Yeah.
I participated in the virtual Maryland Sheep and Wool Show, and so I'm still waiting on one more order from that, and it is a sweater's quantity of yarn for the Love Note sweater, which is a fingering weight yarn held double with a mohair, and it'll be this soft, fluffy, flowy crop top that I'll be hopefully casting on soon. Cool. And it's pinks, pinks and teals. And I have another sweater's quantity of yarn.
Oh my god.
Well, when I bought the yarn for my current sweater, the Flax, the Brooklyn Tweed, because of the quarantine, was having a sale on their yarns where you could either buy directly from them, and I think proceeds were donated to your choice of yarn store, or you could just buy from your yarn store and support the store. So my local yarn store didn't participate, but I did find a yarn store out in Philadelphia that was participating.
It's kind of close.
Yeah, it's regional.
It's regional.
And I love Philly. I actually wanted to live there for a while, but I bought the 2 sweaters quantity of yarn from the shop. It's called Loop, just Loop, I think. And the yarn I got was the Brooklyn Tweed. I got Shelter Base and Loft, which is their fingering base. And I got enough to do a cardigan. I think I'm looking at, Hoagie Locatelli has a few cardigans that would look good in a woolier yarn.
So is this like a little farther down the pipeline?
This could be, I hope it's this year. I want it in the fall. I want to start it in the fall. So it is this year planning.
Okay.
So those are my biggest upcoming plans.
I don't have plans all the way out to the fall. I don't plan that far ahead. I am, so the haunted house that I just showed is in the works, but Tiny Modernist just, I think it's on June 15th, her Stitch Along for Halloween for this year is starting, and it's Halloween. That's important to me. That's like my jam. And everybody likes Halloween, at least for stitching. And it's Ouija board, kind of a Ouija board sampler thing, and it is, so I'm going to pause on the 2018 Stitch Along to do this year's Stitch Along. So I got the fabric for that. I got, when I get it, I'll show it. And gonna do that one. I've got Barbara Anna's Spellville Stitch Along, which I want to do, which I want to get started as soon as I'm through my rotation of blanket. So my blanket, I have to do 10 rows, and then I'm allowed to take a break because I got to get caught up on that sucker. So I know I want to do those two. I also have the Blackberry Rabbit participated in the Be Well and Stitch, and she has a little free pattern on her website right now. It's just a little bee. It says Be Well in a wreath of flowers.
It's really cute.
It's really cute.
I'm like tempted by this.
So I'm going to get that just done up. I think I have in my stash. I think I just have some like oatmeal Ada that's just hanging around. That's like a nice little piece. And then I want to get that made into another bag so I can have more zippers. Or maybe I'll get it made as a piece of a larger project bag or something. I don't know. We'll see what I can convince my sister into doing for me. Other than that, I have several very large, either full coverage pieces or just incredibly large pieces. When I get to that point, when I'm like start actually looking for fabric and things for that, I will try. I'm really hoping to be actively asking you guys about where I want to head, because I'm also desperately trying to steal my sister's cross stitch.
She does have some beautiful kits.
Started 3 years ago. She started a pattern called the Colossal Octopus, which is not a good enough description. It is a kraken. It is a very cool print. I think it's Denise Montfort is the artist that did it, and somebody on Etsy charted it up. Can't remember her name on Etsy. It is so cool looking, and she started it. She's got like this little square done.
Oh my gosh, it's like this.
It's like a little. It's not even a 10 by 10 square. And it's sat in the drawer. Now, am I guilty of putting things in the drawer? Absolutely. But now I'm getting things done. I want that done. I want it done. It's such a cool print.
And it would look great on your walls here. Like it would just.
I know, it would look so cool right over there. It would look right there.
Yeah.
And so I either drop the hint, hey, I could just finish that, or hey, you should work on that. And neither hint is being picked up on. So maybe one day I'll get to steal that. But we'll see. Maybe
if she sees you finish more stuff, she'll be like,
maybe.
I want to see that on our wall.
Maybe. She's funny. She's hilarious.
Is she excited about the peacock being finished?
Yes, she's very happy the peacock is finished. And she was happy to do the frogs up, and she is really excited for the Halloween banner. The horrific Halloween banner. Maybe as stuff goes up, and she's like, oh, look, like, it's
look at our cool decor that is homemade.
Stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Who knows? And you know what? She might actually decide to work on it and finish it, and that would be just as good. I would be super happy with that. Or she might decide to take up woodworking. And, that's...
Who knows with Sarah?
Yeah, who knows? And so that's what we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But those two are definite. Those two Halloween stitch-alongs are definite. I'm feeling the spooky season. Mm-hmm. Like, the sun is out.
See, who wants to deal with that? Plans.
See, well, they're for like 2 days from now, but they're gonna be in fall.
Yeah,
I'm not planning to start something in the fall.
Well,
but yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
and hopefully we'll get to share all this stuff with you guys, and you get to see the progress we're making. And it won't be quite as this is gonna be an hour and a half. Good God, we'll cut this down a little bit.
It's a little loaded up front, but I think once we get all this, like we did our little whip parade, we did some questions.
Yeah.
So I think once that gets going, it's going to look a little slimmer.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not going to have this much finished next time. I don't know what our frequency is, but I'm not finishing a sweater in 2 weeks. That's not happening.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try for 2 weeks. So, because that's enough time to get something done and be interesting. Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully, you guys find this interesting.
I hope to have my crochet project finished and progress on the hat.
Yeah,
the colorwork hat's gonna take some time, but I don't think I will have the sweater finished. I just have 2 sleeves and they're long arms.
Yeah. I forget you only have 3 inches on the bottom, but then you got to go back up and do the whole sleeve.
I have 2 sleeves. I have 2 arms.
Oh my! You could just leave it short sleeved.
Yeah,
just leave it there.
Just leave it short sleeved. No, I think it needs to be long sleeved.
Yeah.
It's
it'll be really cool though, and hopefully you'll enjoy coming along this journey with us. And if you have any suggestions or things we could improve, please let us know. We'd love to hear about
you want to hear
topics
talked about. We're looking for
guidance.
I think that we're looking for what is unique that we can share. I think we found a few ideas ourselves that will be coming out in the future, but we are always looking for new stuff.
So if you have any questions would be awesome too. If you're interested in anything we've talked about and want to hear a little more, just kind of let us know. And thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
We've joining this wonderful community. So hopefully you'll see more from us.